Okay, today I'm back working on this old 66 Chevy pickup, 20 series. So I'm going to rebuild the front brakes. So I'm going to change the pads, the seal on the hub. Obviously this is an inner, but I'm going to change the wheel cylinder and the hose. On this old of a truck, that's the obvious things you want to do. I don't try to shortcut it at all, So I've buffed these spots off with a roll-lock wheel. You can use a drill. I use a air die grinder with a roll-lock disc, so I kind of polish those up. The surfaces of these, so the pads will, slide on there pretty nice. They slide right there. So I've changed the wheel cylinder, obviously, and the brake hose. Don't forget that there's a new brass ring that goes between the hose and the wheel cylinder itself right here when you do the install. So I kind of started all that in one piece, and then I stuck my wheel cylinder on here and the hose kind of sticking out here free, and then got this all started. And then once I got my wheel cylinder tight, then I actually tightened my line here nice and tight, and then I put it in my bracket, attached my line to that, and tightened it. So that's kind of where we're at. So let me move on with it. As you can see, I've already got the brake shoes on in place. So what I did was I laid them out here side by side next to one another, transferred my hardware from the old over to the new. So the issue, one issue I had was this arm is your auto adjuster. So it automatically, as you back up, reverse movement, this will engage and will actually turn this adjustment screw and keep your shoes within proper adjustment, under normal conditions. So that's how that operates. I had a little issue getting this off of the original shoes. This hole is where that goes through the bushing, retainer bushing, kind of hinge bushing, and it is pretty tight on there. So I sprayed some penetrating oil on there, and then I took a punch and a hammer and I kind of tapped it out, and so the hole on the new shoes is a little bit larger in diameter, so it's not so snug and tight. So it may or may not work as intended quite like it should, but we'll see how it works. Anyhow, I got it going back together. So the next step for me is to install my final springs here and here, and then my pushers for my wheel cylinder, and then my last retainer piece that goes on here retains these in place. So when you do the install on these, I would recommend just a tiny bit of wheel bearing grease on the edge of these tips of these, so that they ride up in there right, and don't cause any issues. But you don't want substantial amount, because this is rubber, and wheel bearing grease is not all that good on rubber. It'll swell it, and the next thing you know, it'll be leaking. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so I've gotten all my springs, everything attached in place where they properly belong. Have not adjusted my shoes yet. That's one thing that you're going to want to do once you put your hub on there, and you'll want to check the tension of your shoes against your hub. You just want a tiny bit of touching, not aggressive. You want to be able to turn it free, but you want to hear it, these shoes kind of ride on the inside of the drum ever so lightly, and then they're within adjustment. Because this truck, on the older ones, sometimes they have a hole down here where you can take a screwdriver in here and adjust this one, until you get it tight. But not on this truck. It's got to be adjusted once initially when you put your hub on there. And now I've gotten my hub repacked and cleaned, a new seal on the back, and so I'm ready to do the install on my hub and drum assembly over my shoes. So I'll do my adjustment in the process, and then I'll be back on with the hub. Okay, so one side done. You know, you can hear it barely touching. And when I tighten this up, I tighten it until it slows my revolution of easiness, and then I back it up just until I get my cotter pin, and then it's pretty free to turn. You know, wants to turn on its own a little bit. I turn when I tighten this, I actually turn my hub as I'm tightening it, so you know the bearing grease can kind of spread out inside my bearings and make its movement and kind of get down to bearing to axle, you know, touching. So there it is, one side done. I hope I helped you out on your project, you know, and thanks for watching, and good luck on yours.